another episode of the Six Figure Vet podcast, where we showcase the stories of Black veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. Now, today we got something cooked up super special for you. This is the Six Figure Vet HBCU edition. Norfolk State University, stand up. Yes, we have a few of our very own veterans coming live from Norfolk, well, not from Norfolk State, but as a representation of the veterans that attend Norfolk State, giving us their story, letting us know what made them choose a HBCU. All right. And I just think this is a perfect way to wrap up Black History Month because Black veterans, Black schools, baby, Black everything. Okay. So we're going to get started. Mr. Varnell, could you please come off the mic and give us a little introduction about yourself and a little bit about your background?
Okay, my name is Varnell. I'm from Petersburg, Virginia, and I served in the Army for 25 years, active duty. I was a field artilleryman. I loved my job, and if I could do it all over again, I would. The reason why I chose Norfolk State to complete my degree, before I joined the active Army, I was attending Virginia State University. So HBCU has always been in my blood. And my intent was always to return to an HBCU. You know, I joined the Army with the intent of doing a couple of years, getting my GI Bill, coming back, right, and get a commission and go back on active duty. But the 3 years turned into 25. And, so that's where I'm at right now. So I started going to Norfolk State this semester, and transferred all my credits in there, and they did a very good job of, translating all my military joint service transcript stuff in there, and all the other 3 or 4 transcripts I transferred in from other universities, VSU, Barton County Community College, University of Maryland, and Kansas State. Back to NSU. With what they did at NSU, being a highly supportive university, it got me down to where I only need 36 hours to finish. So
amazing.
Yeah. So I'm doing that, and I plan to continue on from there. Knocking out some things that's pertaining to my current career field.
So what is your current career field? What do you plan on doing once you receive your degree from Norfolk State?
Well, I am a federal employee. I work for the Department of the Army, and I'm in the 1700 series, which is training and education. And I want to be a course manager of 1750. So in order to get into the 1750, you have to have a master's degree in curriculum design. The Fed has a program where they cover the master's degree. You just need to have your bachelor's in order to get into the program that they sponsor through East Carolina University.
Okay. Well, that is amazing. Thank you for 25 years of service. That is spectacular. And what's even more dope about that is, I think that when you hear about veterans getting out, going back to school, especially HBCUs, you think about like young veterans and veterans that just want to party and feel like they missed an experience, so they go back. But I think that it is amazing that after 25 years of service, you still chose a HBCU. After this time, you still chose to go to a HBCU and get your degree there. And I'm happy to hear that, you are having an amazing experience and that NSU was able to help you and count your credits the way they need to be. You won't have that much left to go. I think that's amazing. Next we have up is DeeDee. DeeDee, can you please come off the mic and give us an introduction?
Hi, my name is DeeDee. My real name is D'Angela, but I go by DeeDee because a lot of people can't pronounce it. I served in the Navy for 12 and a half years. I joined when I was 17, fresh out of high school. And I got out because I have a daughter, and I always vowed that once I had her, I said, if the Navy makes me feel like I have to choose them over my daughter in our relationship, that I would get out. And it got to a point where they were basically telling me,
got to make a choice.
You got to make a choice. You got to either choose your career or, you won't advance or whatever. So I chose my daughter, and I'm okay with that decision. Also got out because of mental health reasons. It just wasn't blending well with me anymore. I didn't have a great chain of command, but I wouldn't change my experience because it molded me into the person I am today. I chose to go to Norfolk State because a lot of my friends went to college after we graduated, and some of them went to HBCUs, and they told me their experiences. And I was like, why not go around my people and be comfortable? Yeah. I've been uncomfortable or trying to make myself comfortable for years. Why not go around where I can be comfortable and experience HBCU? So I didn't want to leave Norfolk State because I was, okay with being here. Or I didn't want to leave Norfolk because I was okay with being here. So I chose to go to Norfolk State because I stayed on this side of the water. I didn't want to go to Hampton because then I'll have to drive in that tunnel.
It ain't no joke, baby.
So I chose to stay and go to Norfolk State. And I took 2 classes at NSU while I was in. So I just said, why not finish and go back? And they had a really great nursing program as well. So that's why I chose NSU. I plan on being a nurse. I'm a pre-nursing major right now. I'm in my first year. This is my second semester. And yeah, in the next 5 years, I plan on moving back to Texas and working at a hospital in Houston.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Terrell,
Yes,
please come off the mic and give us a small introduction.
Yes, ma'am. So, of course, my name is Terrell Mackey. I'm actually originally from South Hill, Virginia. So I'm just south of where Varnell is from. I actually used to hang out in Petersburg all the time. But I was in the Navy for 8 years. I got out, unfortunately, due to a topic that us as Black people know very well. I got out due to mental health. When it comes to some of the racist issues, or some of the bullying. They have the saying, of course, you all have heard it, the command that you go to can make or break your career.
Yeah.
And I agree with DeeDee. I wouldn't change my experiences whatsoever. I've been around the world, been in Japan, been everywhere. And I loved my experience, but unfortunately, that's the dark side of being in the military, especially, like I said, depending on the branch that, well, not necessarily the branch, but the command that you go to. So I did choose to get out. Once I got out, I got into sales unintentionally, and I fell in love with it. I've actually been in the insurance industry for the past January, just hit 15 years.
Okay.
So I've made a very successful career for myself in insurance, and I always wanted to attend the HBCU. I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up watching. I grew up watching. Dang, it was on the tip of my tongue. The spinoff from the Cosby Show.
I know what you're talking about. A different world.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm actually. Yep. I'm excited about that. So I'm actually on season 3 now. But I grew up watching that show, and for me, the Cosbys and A Different World, that was a huge part of my childhood. And I always said to myself, and anybody asked me, I said I would never go to a PWI. I always stated I will always forever go to HBCU. So I went to Hampton for a period of time, and unfortunately, due to personal issues that I experienced, death, there's different things like that, I ended up leaving, but ended up coming back. I said, you know what? I wanted to finish my dream of being a college graduate. So I decided to go back to Norfolk State, and now I'm in the finance department, and here I am today.
Amazing. And, I heard you and DeeDee mention mental health, right? And
Go ahead.
And I feel like a lot of times within the mental health space, well, within the veteran community, especially the Black veteran community, that we're often left with the decision to make between, our career or our mental health. So with that being said, somebody can come off the mic. How are you now prioritizing your mental health that you are out of the military? What does that look like for you?
I could take this if nobody else wants to go, but
yeah, it looked like DeeDee had something to say after.
Yeah, if you want to go, DeeDee, go right ahead.
No, go ahead.
You go first. You good? Go ahead.
I didn't see anybody look up, so I wasn't sure. But first thing I did was it took a while, but my ex-wife, I'm definitely happy that she's actually a mental health nurse, but she was real big on counseling, mental health and stuff like that. So It took some years, but I ended up going to counseling myself. And I did that for a while, but there was a book that I read some time ago called
Put
The
us
Miracle Morning.
on.
Say again?
I said, put us on.
Oh, yeah, it's called The Miracle Morning, and I got really deep into that book. So now every morning I get up, I meditate, I read the Bible, I do scribing, I do all types of different things. Go to the gym, I do a lot of that stuff before 8 a.m. And that's actually helped me to really structure my day in a way that it eliminates a lot of the anxiety and stress that we usually come across on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. DeeDee, did you have something?
So I've only been out almost a year. I make a year March 3rd.
So yes, DeeDee, how are you now prioritizing your mental health that you're out of the military?
So I've only been out for less than a year, just shy of a year. So it's still kind of rocky. I'm waiting on my disability claim so I can get me a doctor and find me another therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a therapist right before I got out. She was amazing. She helped me pinpoint a lot of things that I was probably self-sabotaging myself on.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I do need a schedule. So going to class, I made sure I set my schedule up during the day so that I can have something to do and get out of the house, because I started restricting myself to my house, to my room, and just not doing anything and just kind of dwelling in my own sorrows. And it was a hard transition for me because you kind of wake up and you feel like you don't have a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
So me finding that purpose, going to school, and just staying focused on my goal has helped me a lot. I'm going to school for a purpose. So what can I do to keep focused on that purpose? I do need to start setting a schedule, but being around my close friends and actually going out and doing things I did when I was in the military has helped me with my mental health. Just being around positive people. I have a great support system from my friends and some of my family. So it's helped me a lot. I'm still trying to get on track. A year out is not enough to be on track just yet. So I just kind of give myself grace and take it easy and just kind of realize, like, you're not going to be where you want to be at. Where you are is still okay, as long as you just reach your goal and find a positive light in things. So that's how I kind of manage it. Every day I just tell myself, like, it's okay, move forward. What can you control? What can't you? And go from there.
Exactly. Now, I would love to hear your perspective because, you did, out of all of us, you actually had the most time in service. There, you had, just a lot of time within the military. So how was your adjustment period, especially as it relates to your mental health, when you decided that it was time to retire?
Well, when I decided it was time to retire, it was based on, I lost my left knee, got it replaced. And I can honestly say, had I not, lost it, I would have stayed in and probably done 32. But, my mental health is fine. I have no issues.
So how do
I was
you...
doing what I wanted to do, right? I guess it's like my grandfather told me when I was a young kid. He knew I was going to be a soldier because I was raised in Petersburg on the street where everybody was a Black veteran of every major conflict. When I was a little kid growing up, the oldest gentleman that lived on the furthest end of the street was actually a Buffalo soldier who went up San Juan Hill, right? My next door neighbor, Mr. Branch, he was in the 94th or 93rd Infantry Division in the Pacific in World War II. My grandfather was in the Red Ball Express driving trucks in Europe in World War II. We had another neighbor. He was a Korea, Vietnam War veteran. So, when these old guys sit around and share these stories, drinking some of grandma's tea, I was always out there with them listening. And, I knew I wanted to do that. And, my father, he was a veteran too, of Vietnam. He was a tanker. Then he became a parachute rigger. And then he, according to him, he went special forces. And he was in Vietnam for 3 years, and my DNA.
Yeah. Yeah. So was there an adjustment period when you got out? Because it sounds like, the military has been something that's super ingrained in you, even from a child. So getting out, especially, it sounds like, with even though you wanted to do more years, how was it adjusting back to civilian life after getting out? And that's a question for, Terrell and DeeDee to answer as well. But Varnell, how was that adjustment period after you got out, especially since, the mental, you didn't struggle, thankfully, thank God, you didn't have to struggle with your mental health. How was it just a transition overall?
Well, that came from, the planning. I sat down with my wife and we worked stuff out, how much we need, what we wanted to do, and when I was in my last couple of years, she was finishing her master's degree. I mean, matter of fact, back to the HBCU thing, I have an HBCU family. Like I said, I started at VSU in '88. My wife went to Fayetteville State when we were stationed down there. My youngest son right now is a mechanical engineering major, junior at Virginia State University. So we had a plan. We pretty much stuck to it. Of course, it adjusts every so often, but we didn't have too much issue. We do a pretty decent job working together.
Okay. So definitely a plan. What about you, Terrell? What was it like transitioning out for you? Walk us through what that looked like.
So to be honest, in the beginning, it was extremely tough. Again, the mental health aspect, just because of the family dynamic that I had when I got out. There was a lot of stuff that transpired that wasn't done correctly by my chain of command that did cause a lot of issues for myself and for my family. My military experience was great. Loved the Navy. My chain of command was horrible. That's where my issue was.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when I first got out, man, it was so bad to the point where just even going to base was extremely difficult at times. So it took a while for me to really get myself together mentally. But once I did, I found my niche. I ended up, my first job out was Finish Line. And, I ended up becoming a manager there. And, I found out that I was good at talking to people. Sales is my thing. I can sell water to a well. And, I just took that stuff and I ran with it. And once I really figured out my purpose and got to the point where I could start mentoring other people and really start, turning my life around, everything was smooth sailing, from that point on. So
what about you, DeeDee? What was, and you're technically, I heard you say that you are not even a whole year out yet. So your transitioning process is still happening. I feel like, how they say women go through a fourth trimester after they have the baby, that there's still like this attachment. I feel like your first year out is still considered transitioning because you're trying to figure out how to get involved with the VA. You're trying to figure out how to use all these benefits, whether it's GI Bill, your home loan, your disability. You're trying to figure all this stuff out. So what is this transition period like for you right now?
So when I first, when it was time for me to get out, when I decided, my chain of command wasn't the best, but they kind of like, one thing about getting out is once you say you want to get out, it's like it feels like almost like a vendetta is put on you. Like,
yeah, it's like you're thrown away.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're done. Bye. Then it's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still getting paid. If I don't show up, you're still going to get mad. So
help me.
Right. So they kind of took away all my jobs, like, and I would just be sitting there just, so finally I would try to train people. It was like a tough thing. Like I was trying to train people for my job. They didn't want me to help them. Then when the person that I trained briefly left, it was like, we need you to do this now. I know you're getting out, but we need you to do this. And it's like, if you would have let me take control. So it was like tough for me my last few months. But once I think about probably 30 days before I got out, nobody bothered me. Like everybody just left me alone. Nobody said nothing to me. Nobody, I was just kind of there by myself. Now it's like I did join the reserves because they had a bonus going on. So I did 3 years for the reserves. And okay, baby, I'm talking. Maddie, I'm in a meeting. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
So I lost track now. I did join the reserves, and it's been kind of difficult because they tell you can't have your disability if you're in the reserves and all these different things. So I just started my process back in December. So I'm waiting on that. I do not like the reserves. It's not for me. So in 2027, I will be getting out completely of the military. I think that will make me happier. I feel like I'm happy, but playing military on the weekends is still not for me. I think I want to be completely done. So
Yeah.
that's kind of tough, having to go into that mode once a month and then trying to get out that mode and live a regular life.
Yeah.
It's like coach switching every month is entirely too much sometimes, but I feel like I'm making it work. I think I'm okay, going to school, and I don't really talk to a lot of people because it's kind of foreign to me. It is a foreign world again. So relearning myself has been, I think, my biggest trial.
Yeah.
Getting involved with people and being okay with talking to people because I'm older than everybody almost going into classes. I'm on campus.
Yes.
So the connection is missing sometimes, but I made a friend, so I'm okay. I'm slowly making my way to being, a regular person like everybody expects you to be, I guess, if that's the
Yeah.
words I want to use.
Well, you know what? I think that's a false expectation that we place upon ourselves when we get
Maybe.
out, because there's more people with the story that you have. Like, okay, I'm out, I'm figuring this out, I'm in school, I'm the oldest person in my class. This is crazy. There is more people right now. It's 4 out of 4 that's on this phone, that's on this call, that had the exact same story. Like, okay, I got out. I'm probably, one of the most elder people in my class. I am, I have a plan, but, I'm still trying to work out the kinks in it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a community of people like you in the military, force you to network. Like, I'm
Yes.
sleeping with these people. I am depending on these people to live. I am eating with these people. I am working out with these people. I am working with these people. I have no other choice but to network with these people, unless I just don't talk. And then that only lasts so long because you're there for, don't deploy, because then you're really with them. And getting out of the military is definitely, you have to force yourself into spaces. You have to force yourself, networking is not as easy. So I just want to give you a little encouragement that you are not the only one facing this. You are not by yourself. You are not alone. Transitioning is difficult. I am a transitions coach for veterans, and about 99% of the veterans that I talk to, whether they got out after 4 years or even I have coached people that got out after 30 years, it's a transitioning is difficult. It's all right? The military is all So it's just, you just got to take the plunge, and that can be scary. So the last question I have for you guys is, what advice would you give an active duty service member that you wish you would have had prior to exiting? And we'll start with Varnell up at the top.
Okay. The advice I would give to an active duty person before they got out, right, is this. From the day you enter service, you should do a excellent job of documenting all of the tasks that you do, right? And keep those journals, because when you get out, that's your resume, right? And one of the things I do know is I can honestly say I owe my success in my career to this one event that took place when I was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, right? And there was not a lot of Black people in my unit, but I got approached by some brothers that was in another unit, and I got invited to a barbecue over a weekend. And what happened at this barbecue was these OGs, you might want to call them, senior NCOs, and, some officers were there. And they sat us new guys down. Every senior invited one new guy to this barbecue. And they sat us down. They talked to us because they watched us for a while. And they brought us to this barbecue. They sat us down. They talked to us and told us about the military. They told us about things that we would encounter. They told us about things that are going to happen and some things that are happening around us. They taught us. They geared us up. I don't think that happens too much anymore. And
No.
we connected. We had a bond, so we stayed connected throughout my whole career. And even when those guys had retired and moved on, I stayed in contact with them, could always reach back and talk to them. You know, the highest ranking person at that particular event at that time, he was an 06. He was a full board colonel. He was a mentor, right? And over my career, I tried to, mentor young brothers and sisters, but, the mentalities were different. They didn't want to hear, what was being said, right? So, and a lot of people that did listen, they capitalized off of it. So, while you're in the Army or the Navy, Marine Corps, whatever you're in, make the best of it while you're in, take advantage of those educational opportunities because it's going to take you far when you get out. And one of the things I do know for a fact is that if every service member kept a journal of what they did, right, you would see that you can walk into any career field anywhere and excel, right? Because we do the same things in the military that people do on any other job. However, we're just thrust into it at a young age and we don't know that we're doing those things, right?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that if every staff sergeant above across all branches, they should leave the military with a project management certification. They should. Because when you look at what we're doing as service members, we're doing agile planning every day. Every day. And people just don't look at it from that aspect because we're still wrapped up in doing our jobs. We're not paying attention to what it is that we're doing. Okay.
Yeah, the bigger picture.
Right. And another thing I do know is this, if I could talk to, I do talk to active duty service members now when I have time, but, join that VFW, join that DAV, join those veteran services organization, because when we were in serving as soldiers, those guys was out fighting for us so that we can have what we have now when we get out. So, you got to be active, right? We got to, nobody looks out for us except for us. So consider that. And also here's the main thing. If I could sit down young soldiers or any young service member joining right now, I'm gonna tell them the truth, right? Anybody in the military, if they have self-discipline and do the right things with their money, you can become a millionaire in the first 10 years. Because think of it like this, you guys were in the Navy, right? How much did it cost to make those ships that you worked on? Who made those ships? Why aren't you investing in those companies? Look at what equipment that you touched every day. Who made that equipment? How much did that equipment cost? We all live in the Hampton Roads area, right? So you see the F-22s flying over from Langley. Lockheed Martin makes those planes. Those planes are $164 million each. Why aren't you buying stock in Lockheed Martin? I was a 13 Mike. Lockheed Martin made my weapon system. One of those vehicles was over $7 million, and there's 27 in the battalion, and we got 42 battalions. Think about it. Now that we're out, we can still do the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
But I learned early, and I took advantage of it. It's one of those things.
That is amazing advice. I ain't even ever think about that. Like, I think I thought of it. I didn't really start thinking about like investing into the stuff like military related companies until I was almost out. But that's definitely a gem, Varnell. That's definitely a gem. And thank you again. I can't say it enough for how you pour back into service members for your service, of course, but there's just so sharing your knowledge with those that are willing to listen. And my hopes is that listening to this interview and some of the gems that you've dropped today, it will resonate with young service members and veterans to rethink or change their perspective on the military and coming at it at a more strategic angle, like the one you just talked about. What about you, DeeDee? What was one piece of advice that you would give to a active duty service member that you wish you had?
I wish that someone would have told me, like, don't be scared to get out there and do what you have to do for yourself. Do what's best for you and not worried about your family, not worried about your friends, not worried about the military in general. Just whatever path is for you and whatever your goal is, continue with that goal. Don't let anyone steer you from it, because lines can be blurred and you may feel obligated to do something because you're in the service, but you have to continue on the path that you set for yourself and always find, if you have a good support system, keep in contact with them. Keep that. Because, like Varnell said, if somebody would have told me to invest in the military grade companies or anything, that's a good gym to have, especially if you just want to do your 4 years and go to school. You can be rich before you even get out. You can be set up. Networking and getting and having those people in your corner is always good. I'm glad I had somebody tell me to network, to keep people in my corner. I would recommend an active service member instead of getting a E7 and below, I would say get an officer who has been in for years to be your mentor, because they've seen things, they've done things, they probably went through different trials and tribulations that you can't even manage to go through, and have them in your corner, because those letter of recommendations come in handy. Those networks that they may know somebody who has a company who's hiring remotely, you may not want to go. Those come in handy, always having that connection.
Yeah.
I recommend those things. And just, staying true to yourself. Be who you are. Don't allow people to change who you are. That would be my biggest advice to people.
Yes, definitely staying true to who you are, and making sure that your mentor aligns with not only your goals inside of the military, but outside of the military as well. Definitely a gem. And thank you again, DeeDee, for your service and all the contributions you made to the U.S. Navy. Terrell, give us give an active duty service member a piece of advice that you wish you would have had prior to getting out.
Yeah, so of course, this can go for people who've been in for a while, but mainly for people who are brand new or just going in. Have a plan from day one. A lot of times people go in and we just kind of just going through the motions. We get a job and we're just doing our time. But one thing I will say is have a plan in terms of what you want to accomplish and what you want to do afterwards. That way you can strategically align your goals while you're in for what you're looking to do on the outside.
Yes.
But also, too, like I said, I've been in the insurance industry for over a decade, and now I've moved into the financial advisor industry or the financial service industry. And, I agree with Varnell. I've been an investor for quite a bit of time, and, whether it's military companies or just investing in the GDP of the country, the S&P 500 or anything like that, that's something that I've done pretty well for myself now. But if I knew the information I know now, especially because this is what I do for a living, back then, oh man, I would have been a millionaire 10 times over.
Yeah.
Even when I first joined the insurance industry, I made a lot of money over my career, and in the beginning, I didn't know what I knew now.
Yeah.
So, I would say for people that are active now, invest in financial literacy.
Yes.
Understand how money works. That's something that even for people who they just invest because they've been told to invest, they don't understand financial literacy. They don't know how money works. So definitely understand that aspect, and really take the time to, like DeeDee said, network. I've always been told, being in the industry, that your network is your net worth. There's a lot of people that I've met when I was active duty or that I've met now that I do business with these people. The more people that that you can influence or that can influence you, the more money that you will make. And I think if we can really take advantage of that while we're in, we come across so many people in the military a lot every single day. And if you can network with some of these people, bounce business ideas off each other, like you're in the podcast space, I'm in the financial advisor space. Like, these are areas that the more people that that you can help, the more your business grows. Start a business, do stuff like that. But that would be my advice.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Terrell, for your contributions that you made to the United States Navy, and just thank you for your service. Thank you for advocating for Black financial literacy, because I don't think it's a secret wealth gap between white Americans and Black Americans is huge. And I think it's time for us to stop shedding light on the fact that it's huge. We already know that, but we need to start focusing on how we can close it. And it is by putting into practice the advice that has been given today during this episode. So again, I just want to thank you, Varnell, thank you, DeeDee, and thank you, Terrell, for being open to come on the Six Figure Vet podcast, share your stories, and give advice. Go ahead, Varnell.
I sent out an email last week. Did everybody get that email?
Yes.
Forget about it, So what I did was when I retired in 2015 and I was, doing my, actually my last year at the Army, I was doing my job search deal, filling stuff out there. So myself and a friend, she was in the Air Force, we started a Facebook group for veterans. We help veterans find jobs. And I started a group for people that attend HBCUs, same thing, right? So HBCU employment group and the No Service Member Left Behind is a veterans only employment group. And they're both on Facebook because we can control who's in the group, right? You have to verify that you attended an HBCU. And of course, you have to verify that you served in the United States Armed Forces. Funny thing is, where I work at, on Fort Eustis, running the people who found secure quality employment in both groups.
Amazing. And I'm going to definitely link those in the show notes. There is rules to the group. So, somebody will be verifying your stuff, but I will definitely be promoting that on the social media platforms. Thank you for creating a group like that because it's needed, especially coming out of school, especially being a veteran, finding decent employment. And maybe, Varnell, I know you started a group, but maybe sometime here in the future, we can collaborate even and host some type of small job fair for HBCU students or something for veterans. We'll work it out, but I definitely thank you for creating that. And we can figure out how we can make more outreach happen within.
Ms. Powell, you a Spartan too?
No, I go to PV. Okay, I'm a Prairie View from
Shout out to Prairie View.
Shout out to Prairie View. Okay,
matter of fact, so one of my closest friends and buddies is a Prairie View graduate. He retired about a year ago as a full bird. Yeah, okay, I was hoping he'd stay in the Major General, but he said no, I couldn't do it. He was tired.
Yes, I'm HBCU. I'm not a Spartan. I was almost a Spartan, but I just stayed at PV because it was just too much to transfer my credits. When you're in your master's program, it gets real finicky how the transfer of credits work. So I stayed at PV when I moved here, and I'll be finishing my master's in social work this year from the Prairie View A&T.
That's so good. I'm so happy. Not very many Black women are masters in their degrees.
It's 9% of us.
Yes. So congratulations to you for becoming one of those 9%.
Thank you. And congratulations to all of us for attending HBCUs.
Yes.
Two-time. Hey, two-time.
Yeah, well, my son at VSU called me a traitor.
Listen, as long as we keeping the money in-house, okay?
That's all that matters.
As long as we keeping the money in-house, even if it ain't ours, if it's the government, we're going to keep it in-house.
Yeah, that's why I chose HBCU because, all this GI Bill money, post 9/11 money, I'm sending it to HBCU.
I'm sending it to people that look like me. I'm sending it to people that's going. I'm recycling it to where it needs to go. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, this has been another amazing episode of the Six Figure Vet podcast, where we showcase success stories of Black veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. NSU edition. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Six Figure Vet is out.
Hey y'all, it's a Six Figure Vet here. If you or any other active duty service member or veteran that you know is suffering with suicidal ideation, substance use, or mental health disorders, please tell them to call 988. The number is 988. They're trained crisis responders waiting to take their calls. You don't have to suffer in silence.